Again, I'd like to welcome you to Revelry. It is our annual get-together where we see old friends and reminisce and sometimes just create new memories. Our program's a little different this morning. I'm going to bring Dr. Stephen Colbert-Wright to the podium, and as he comes up, I'm going to share a memory with you. A very long time ago, when Stephen and I were still working at Seminole, he started this poetry reading on Tuesday nights, and as a result called it Tuesday Voices. And we started with sometimes 5, maybe 6. We had reached 15, and we were meeting in the Caverners concert hall. And there was a diminutive woman from Nebraska who came in and brought her poem, and it was the kind of poem that you would read, and you could feel the beat. Dun, 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 dun. And this is a story that I told Lou. And gradually, over the months and years, this wonderful writer evolved to where her poem soared and grabbed hold and took you up and made you feel like you were in the presence of an incredible writer. So I wanted to share that before Dr. Wright shares his.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I shall be brief. This volume is dedicated to the life and spiritual advance of Louise Jeanette Uden-Whitsenburg. And I didn't know until I was speaking with Eleanor Kroll and got the birth date. I didn't know that Lou was born during our month of November. I'm a November 11th child. For Lou, a constant presence among us, sensing everyone's affirmations, always embracing her own, quietly probing possibilities here and beyond, tracing sacred labyrinths.
This poem is called Hinge of Heaven, after Violent's Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Sigh of earth, captive abyss, brimming seawall of souls, a great and gentle caliper, lake's compass marbled, simple chevron, shallow veil that holds the sky, measure barely touching sorrow, splayed embrace of grave and life, the hinge of heaven forced past clothing.
Good morning. This poem is called 8 Points. The 8 points, paired of velvet on horn, bow in the awful risk of long cold drink in glassy Athabasca. November born among late shadow of the water's brink, the shot, instant, wheels him to run and does not fell him. He is dead, though, forgetting the protocol. Tail to the lip of sun, he flails two-footed in early snow. A dance of reddening royalty on the way of this peculiar coronation prize. King of all these followed footsteps, gay and awfully dead themselves, too dull for wise.
Happy to be here. This is my first time here at Revelry. This is called A Light Coat. After a long winter, watching my father wither away, I welcomed spring like a seed welcomes it, hunkered down in cold mud, waiting for warmth and water to burst my seed coat and grow through earth into light and air. Shoving aside topsoil, I shuck off troubles like shedding my coat, hat, and gloves until next winter's need. Don Dad's light blue windbreaker. Lift my face to the sun, damp grass underfoot. I walk through fields, smell orange blossoms. The world can be a fine place to grow in when you're not weighed down. I wrap windbreaker around my waist and start to run.
Okay, obviously not Lou, but she was very dear to us. A very special person. Over the years, we had her at all of our gatherings, and she's just a wonderful person. So, her poem is Echoes. Yesterday, the sky was blue on blue, a perfect, seamless dome, white clean of clouds. Was this the sky of Genesis on day 2 of creation? I shivered as the hairs stirred on my head. I was unstrung. The glory of that savage sky had done me in. Such splendor must be shared. I looked around, but no one was in sight. When I was just a little girl, my mom admonished me, "Louise Jeanette, don't ever talk to strangers on the street." I knew that she meant business when she used my middle name. My prim and proper mom had more to say. "Louise Jeanette, I heard you shouting several times today. To say the least, it's very unbecoming. You've not been raised to act like some wild heathen. God forbid a child of mine would carry on that way. Louise Jeanette, you better watch your step. I do not wish to speak of this again." My mom so wanted me to be a lady that even though I'm almost 88, I heard her say, "Louise Jeanette," inside my head when I shouted to a stranger passing by, "Hey, mister, have you noticed the color of the sky?"
Genetic engineering. I don't want flies with eyes on their wings or on their knees or out on the end of long antennae. I don't want them flying around my house, eyeing my food like a prize. I don't want flies stroking their skinny legs while their fly brains compile 1,000-lensed images of my room into a highway where my sandwich is the off-ramp.
Hello, smiling faces. I'm Deborah Wilk, and my poem is Ode to Sister on page 14. I was doomed the first day that dragged into weeks, nose in the corner, before I mastered the rules of silencing my excitement, sister. I may have forgotten your name, but not how you towered over me, the dark cloud of stern. And I, desperate to bring you the sun, picked you a flower from a garden near the school, expecting redemption when I placed it on your desk, but your face hardened the stone it was, and I was the thief you shamed back to the yard. Your angry steps, your heavy shoes, louder than the pounding of my heart, I confessed. But the woman behind the gate, handing me a blossom, melting my terror, her smile a most lovely bloom.
This is autobiographical. It's called Make Believe. Her little girl feet descend the stairs dimly lit by a naked bulb in the ceiling. Alone in the basement, she glides along the oil-stained concrete floor, past the old wash tub and luggage arranged in sized places near the corner. A shaft of yellow forces its way through the half window pane caked in mud and lands a streak on the cinder block wall, lighting her way to burgundy drapes piled on the table. She wraps them around her shoulders, her regal robe, picks up the curtain rod, her royal scepter, and only the heather outside sees her practice being queen.
This first poem is inspired by my experience of having an article about writing poetry included in an academic journal. Poem in an academic journal. Marched into rows, verse crowds into columns to pose as prose. Beaten and slashed, or worse, the flow is diverted, its rightful space now devoted to footnotes and endnotes. Breath disappears as editors race to reduce life again to rules and fixed forms. Unfolding in my mind, my poem springs to its feet, stretching its legs into lines. Uprooted from formation to spiral down the page, lines lean on spacious white pillows as stanzas divide. Now, my poem of a ghetto teen, with its strophes stampeding from the margin, makes room to map a life that beats not mere lashes on a page. The poem, like the young man, stands center stage to make its mark, chanting a solo, stamping a story or a song. And this poem, called Elegy Without Words, is dedicated to Matyahu Braun, who is a wonderful violin and viola player, formerly with the New York Philharmonic, who lives in our community and graces many halls with his presence. Amidst Elegy Without Words, amidst Frescobaldi's Toccata and Schumann's fairy tales, you string us to places far and near. We rise in reprise and fall through the voice of your viola. When Bach's Cum Zuser Tod sings of death, you tell of the sudden end, neither welcome nor sweet, of the orchestra director, your student and friend. Still, you play your cadent strains through your fugue of feelings, measuring a farewell in your wooden sanctuary of sound.
I'd actually like to read Interlude first, and that's on page 5. Interlude. After brain injury, the doctor suggests the best sensory input possible. Take me to the Uffizi, the Louvre, the Cloisters, or even O'Galli-Fussener Art Museum. Show me the white cliffs of Dover, the lavender fields, the moor with its heather and peat smoke rising. Feed me spicy fish tacos, jalapeno chips, pumpkin spice latte from the Sun Shop. Rub me an essential oil of bergamot, jasmine, and sandalwood. Powder me with Chanel No. 5. Teach me to finger paint again, knead bread, drip castles at low tide, pluck a stringed instrument. Read me Yeats and Shakespeare, sing stars to me, and strike pinwheels on the violin. Surround me with the laughter of children, shaking tambourines, practicing hot cross buns on the recorder, an auditorium full of third graders finding A. And gleanings in an untended garden. When the viburnum finally reached the top of the fence to drown out the noise from the street, the crepe myrtle stopped blooming, and the leaves of the tangerine curled with citrus blight, followed by the little key lime and hope for pie. No one had fertilized them in years anyway, or even bothered to water them when the dry season came. Most people can keep a bougainvillea alive, but even that only grew long, deathly thorns with no consolatory purple bouquet. Little pockets of occasional attempts at restoration, a knockout rose, some clumps of pentas and agapanthus, withered under the charge of a misguided weed eater. The things that grow, alas, are the things you don't want to grow. Torpedo grass, bitter gourd, some kind of creeper, makes you wonder why every spring the loquat tree still blooms and gifts its luscious fruit. Hello, I'm Jane, and I'm sorry I was late, and I'm therefore reading out of sequence. Nevertheless, my poem is No Matter, and it's on page 6. No matter. Age etches me into my essence. The dusk of twilight shields my flaws. Days have slid into years, the years tripped into decades, gales carrying me 7 times over. The evening softness eases my soul. Fragments of my life sift and nudge the leaves of chance and fate that have made me into me. Imagining overtakes memories which cling to me, tinging them in color by the lux, wrapping them in movie scores. No matter, the stories are mine to tell. For years I have asked questions, now I live into answers. I've traveled a destiny's queue, wove my own fiction of dreams. No matter, the stories are mine to dream. I've learned to accept a calm friendship with myself. My end will be an exquisite line from a poem I have yet to write.
Page 16. Winters freeze. The forest is barren now. The exuberance of summer buried beneath the cold expanse of sooty gray, a pallid shroud for dying sentiments. For a moment, just now, the horizon glowed orange as if alive with flame. Then the blaze was gone, swallowed by the descending night. We walk the snow-packed path between rows of skeletal trees. Thin, bare branches grope the emptiness. We walk alongside each other. Our footfalls break the ice-crusted snow. It sounds like a sharp exhalation of pain. We don't touch now. No point to touching. We don't talk now. No point to talking. We are ice-numbed and beyond feeling. Our breath floats in front of our mouths like the ghosts of the words we cannot say.
Next year will be the 30th year of Revelry. It will also be the 100th birthday of Gwendolyn Brooks. So what we've decided to do is have an open poetry reading, and there are no planned awards for that event, but the call is on page 23. If you are interested, we hope that you will show up next year for that. Participants are invited to share one original poem up to 20 lines related to the life and legacy of Gwendolyn Brooks, or share a brief account, 2 to 3 minutes, of meeting Gwendolyn Brooks in Florida or elsewhere. So I wanted to say that. And we are trusting that our dear friends from UCF will, and NPR, will grace us or gift us with that recording. So I needed to say that in advance of making the presentations. And I'm going to be a little more wordy this year than usual. Robert Browning said, "Ah, but a man's reach should exceed his grasp. or what's a heaven for? He also said, the imp in me reminds me that, he also said the moving thing writes and having writ moves on. I don't know what that has to do with what I'm talking about. But when I was preparing this, it came out. I'm going like, okay, yeah, some people shouldn't be writing alcohol, maybe, I don't know. In the matter of perceiving, optimally, perhaps a poet's reach should exceed the poet's grasp. Or what's the prayers of devoted poets for? Today's poets have given us so much to reach for and to grasp. Consider Jane Peterson's "My end will be an exquisite line from a poem I have yet to write." Joseph Dunn's "The hinge of heaven forced past closing." Al Rochelot's "The shot instant wheels him to run and does not fell him. He is dead though." Peter Gordon's "I welcome spring like a seed welcomes it, hunkered down." Louise Witzenberg's "Hey mister, have you noticed the color of the sky?" David Moody's "When it does, it falls into the spine's gutter." Mary Marcel's "Stroking their skinny legs while their fly brains compile thousand-lensed images." And Elas Cathay's "The water I did drink of it in order to ascend, and at first taste so bittersweet, my youth began to end." Deborah Wilkes' "The dark cloud of stern, and I desperate to bring you the sun." Estelle Lips' "Only the heather outside sees." And Catherine Giordano's "Breath floats like the ghosts of the words we cannot say." Then we have the magic of the fine poet standing before you, and I will get on with the presentation. I'm feeling kind of awkward. I want both of you on the same side, I think. Could you? Yeah. Now that's better. I mean, he was eventually thinking I was cross-eyed.
That's better for the camera.
Humanely inquisitive and spiritually enlightening, your poems bring fresh, sincere appraisal and appreciation of the commonplace turned extraordinaire, highlighting inherently celestial mystery. In short, evenly placed images that embrace the personal, made universally acceptable in cosmic dimensions, allow your rhythmic expressions to ignite infinite possibilities in the human endeavors of imagination, emotion, and perseverance. In memorable fashion, your unique poems are quite deserving of the 2016 Thomas Burnett Swan Poetry Awards, and we certainly thank you for your cultural contributions. This is, I guess, it's the same type we've been using, and that's what it looks like actually. And this is 2 poly mandelkern, and it has that little bonus that goes with it. Thank you so much. Please don't just remember to take the bonus. You can take it out. I'll just leave it since it's already seen. General Sladorn, Congratulations.
Florence Ferlinghetti called poetry the shortest distance between two humans. Today, because of poetry, and maybe a few other reasons, I feel that very short distance. To my husband and son, who aren't usually attending poetry readings on a Saturday morning, to my fellow friends in the 12 Chairs Poetry Program, and to Al Rushelou, our inspiring teacher who taught us to value the poets whose works have stood the test of time. In that vein, I like to remember that today we are really here to honor Gwendolyn Brooks, who made ordinary and not so ordinary moments extraordinary and accessible. We also honor the versatile and imaginative writer and educator who made a big literary imprint and footprint in Florida, Thomas Burnett Swan, who would be happy that we're here today to celebrate learning, poetry, and writing. I thank the Gwendolyn Brooks Writers Association of Florida, particularly Dr. Stephen Caldwell Wright and Dr. Annie Rifo, for their heartfelt dedication to foster our poetic heritage, our writing, and one another. Thank you for this special opportunity.